Pranam Guruji. Good evening, distinguished guests, and then Rahayu, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity for me to share. So, like Brother you and Marchna mentioned, I was a musician. Well, I'm still a musician. I'm still playing music for fun, but not as, for living. So, I started my journey as a music geek. You can say that. So, came from a Muslim background. I was intrigued when I read a biography of the Beatles. So when I read the biography of the Beatles, and there's this album called Let It Be, right, which is one of my favorite album of all time. Then I just discovered that when the album was recorded in 1970, and the Beatles just got back from India. They went to India in 1968, and from there I learned that actually all of them, the whole band, actually went through a spiritual journey. Like, so that is when I found out, when I read that they actually learned about yoga in India. So if back then I'm really curious, what did they get in India? What did they learn in India? So because I couldn't go to India, so I started to read. And then actually Bhagavad Gita was one of the few books that I read back then. So when teacher Ayus mentioned that she read Bhagavad Gita when she was 12 years old, I was in my mid 30s back then. And then first time I read Bhagavad Gita because I'm curious, what is the Beatles, what did they read, And then so I read back then. It was an English version of Bhagavad Gita. I actually finished the whole book and in like very short period of time, but I didn't understand it. I was lost. I said, okay, because I thought, okay, I came from Muslim background, but okay, this could be a Hindu thing. I don't understand what is yoga. I don't understand what is meditation. So I'm very, very fortunate. I think we all very fortunate to have Guruji and Krishna actually, because back then I didn't know that actually there is an Indonesian Guruji Bapa Anand Krishna who actually have written the transliteration of Bhagavad Gita, because back then I didn't know. I was in Malaysia, and then so I read the English version. So when I finally met Guruji and Krishna, then I finally read his version of Bhagavad Gita. Then it all makes sense to me. So I'm very fortunate. The first round it didn't make it for me, but the Guruji's version. So I think this book is really phenomenal in the sense that it's very practical. It's very practical. So like Marshana mentioned in the beginning. So this book is actually can be your guide. So this is why I chose this chapter 12. So in the beginning, Arjuna asks, um, of the two types of devotees, those who constantly worship you as manifestation of the Supreme Self, and those who are devoted to the eternal unmanifest, who has a better knowledge of yoga? So I probably read this before. So this is probably why I am curious about yoga. So what is yoga? So my understanding about yoga back then, yoga is just a postures, which I understand that is asanas. So what most people understand yoga as posture, as asanas, is actually just a small fraction. It's a small parts of yoga as a whole. So this book explains a lot on what is yoga. So Guruji and Krishna mentioned here that yoga is unifying outlook towards life that must be lived from moment to moment. It is a way of life that is lived every day. So this is finally with Guruji explanation, then it started to make sense about what is this book is trying to tell us. What is Arjuna and Krishna, what Krishna is trying to tell us. And then the next verse goes, with their mind ever fixed on me, those who worship me with full faith, they are indeed the best practitioners. Such is my mata, my opinion. So in here, Guruji mentioned that Krishna is not in favor of withdrawal from worldly affair. So he actually advocates us to still actively have a social lives. So that is how I learned, because back then I had this mindset that if we want to go to spirituality, we have to go to monastery, we have to be a monk, you know, then then we have to meditate every day, we have to do yoga every day. So in this book, as you can read later on, if you haven't, then it will explain that what Krishna meant is not just sitting silently, like you can see in our ashram profile. Guruji always mentioned that we have to do our part, our duty in the society. So in here, to continue from the first verse, on the third and the fourth verse, Krishna is very clear. Those who worship the manifest and those who adore the unmanifest attain the same goal. So Krishna is not being rigid on how do you want to go after your spirituality. So Krishna is very open that you can do many ways to attain spirituality, to attain yoga, to attain union. So if you not sure what I meant about yoga and union, you have to read the book. I can't explain it in 10 minutes. Okay. So I want to highlight, so the next one is in the verse 6 and 7. So in the 6, 7, on the other hand, Arjuna, renouncing the fruit of their action, those who practice yoga is in undistracted manner. This is working not for the selfish motive, but in a detached manner for the welfare of all beings with their very mind core ever fixed on me. So Krishna gave another solution, that if we work in our daily life in unselfish motive, in a detached manner for the welfare of all beings, that is also the way of yoga. So as you can see, it's very practical. And on this, specifically on this chapter, Krishna actually gave step by step. If you can't do this, you can do this. If you can't do this again, there's also another way for you to do it. So this is actually the beauty of Bhagavad Gita. It's so practical. And then on the verse 8, therefore fix your mana and buddhi, your mind and intelligence on me, and you shall dwell in me. In me hereafter, have no doubt about it. Okay, this might be difficult for me, and I'm sure also difficult for a lot of people, right? But again, in the next verse, Krishna gave another solution. So if you cannot steadily fix your mind core on me, Arjuna, then seek to attain me through abhyas, through repetitive, intensive, and constant practice of yoga. Again, for people like me who got bored of sitting silently, watching my breath in and out, you know. So when I read this book, then I realized that, oh, okay, so there is a way, but it has to be through abhyas, through repetitive. So that's when I started to practice, actually, to like mentioned here. So that's okay. Maybe I should try. So that's how I started my journey in AnandAshram, by practicing yoga and meditation. And just within few months doing this practice, my life totally changed. I mean, I lost 10 kg of my weight, and then I become healthier. I feel better just through this abhyas, through this repetitive of action, to actually practice it, not just talking about it, but to actually practice it. Okay, this is my favorite verse in this chapter, which is, if you are incapable even to such practice, be intent to work for me. You shall attain perfection. This is realize your true self by performing action for my sakes. So this is when I realized that if we can't do all those, if you can't do all those, what you can do is just living day by day, do your thing, whatever you do as a professional, as a student, as a parent, or as a whatever, but do it for the divine, do it for the benefit of others. So this is also another way of yoga. This is why I always try to live my day by day to be useful for others, to be part of my sadhana, to be part of my yoga practice. So thank you again, Guruji, for this very wonderful book. Then I've learned so much from this book, and I hope you guys can learn it too. So if you haven't read it, please do get it. Thank you.